Yes. Well, also thank you for this is great. This is awesome. I'm a huge fan of your account as well. Does anybody tell you that um I mean I've probably gained like 10 pounds since I joined your account.
It has that effect on people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm like into breakfast sandwiches more. It's like
Yeah. I mean, I do it to myself too. So, yeah.
oh yes, that looks good. I haven't been to that place in a while. I will be going there tomorrow morning.
Let me save that for later. Yep. That's the data.
That's the point though, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yes, thank you. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, my first edition, if you will, is going to go out towards the end of this month, probably the last week of this month. Um,
Cool.
about 100 people signed up so far. Um, but the newsletter will just be like a highlight, but then I'm going to clip some of the video and use that on social media, and I can obviously share with you so you can have it on your page too. uh,
Yeah.
make some content out of it. So
I know it's definitely probably like my when you're like grading yourself through all this stuff that we all do, I'm not as strong in my content. So I'm definitely sort of learning through that a little bit more.
yeah, it's definitely a trial and error process. I can say that personally.
Yeah, 100%.
Things I post and it's like, okay, like three people enjoyed that, and then other things
Right.
blow up, and I'm like, why though? Like,
I know it's the weirdest thing. So it's definitely something I'm working on.
yeah, well, you just gotta be consistent. That's the number one, I guess, piece of advice I tell people is just keep doing it. And I post like almost every day, and it's a lot. It's a lot,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it is working well. I can't talk to it. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah. Ready. Let's get into it.
So, Scout Mustard.
Yes.
Come from? How did it begin? Tell me the backstory.
Okay. So um out is an old family recipe.
Okay.
And it's been in my family since I was a kid. It definitely has gone through sort of generational throughout my greater family. So I mean, but it all started with my mom. Um, so it's just something that has been part of our family for, I mean, like I said, as long as I can remember. The thing was is that my mom made it every Easter, so it was it was great around that time with just ham and ham sandwiches and like the day after. And she only made just a little bit though. So it was just something that we had every Easter and that we just couldn't wait for. And it just kind of became this like little folklore in our family. It's just so different. And um, so it just went on for years and years of us just having it once a year. And as I got older and older, and I became more interested in like foodie and food culture and all that stuff. I was like, okay, why are we having this once a year? Like, what is this is a crime. So I finally asked her, and I said, I mean, can I have the recipe? Which sometimes is a weird question to ask, like your mom or your grandmother, or something, because it's just like sometimes that stuff is just like really personal to the sort of the family history. So long story short, she gave it to me, and this is going years back, and and then I just kind of messed around with it and made it every once in a while, like throughout the year. I would make it for friends or other family, and I did that for years, and it just for like little gifts around like different holidays and stuff like that, and it was just always this big hit, and it was just always something different. So that was, I think, kind of the what you'll start hearing throughout us talking is it just was something uniquely different that nobody's ever had before, and nobody kind of like thought it was going to be something different than what they had before, or um, so right around the pandemic, right prior to it, and kind of things were when things were happening. I had decided I had lost my job for a while. Um, and I did two things when I did that. I built a bar in my garage,
Smart.
number one,
You do.
for the whole neighborhood. And two, I started cooking more and I started making mustard more. And so I decided to rent out kitchen space here in Cedarburg, where I live, and I rent it out from scratch. It's a little catering company. It's right down the street from where I live. And started making my own labels, ordering jars, getting sort of like certified with like different stuff, and just kind of having fun with it. And then going on nights and weekends and making it and bottling it, and which was like a huge learning process in itself. And it was like super small. It was just like real small batches at a time. And then I would just give it to I wasn't even doing it for like to make, money or anything as much as just sort of like keep busy and have like be creative and have some fun. So I did that for 2 years, all really through the pandemic and after. And then um, the beginning of 2022, I I said I can't keep doing this because I've got two little girls and I've got a full time job outside of this, and I was just like, this is crazy. This is not making any sense. I mean, to go bottle like 50 jars was like a whole like thing. It was like a whole deal. So um, it was like fun while it lasted, but I was like, I can't keep doing this. So I just like took a break, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do with this? So I put some real money into it, and I hired a designer from Milwaukee. His name's Jim Kennelly. If you ever run into him or know him, maybe you know of him, but he's amazing. Um, and we worked probably about 8 months on sort of the brand of Scout and what it was to us and what it was to me and what I wanted it to be and what I sort of envisioned. So I didn't make anything during that time. I didn't sell anything. And then during that time, I decided to get a co-packer, uh, a manufacturer to manufacture the mustard. Um, and kind of that sounds so casual in me saying that, but it's not. So that was a good chunk of last year, of just doing all this and pulling everything together. And um, and also going back, when I was making myself, I did sell it at Franny's, which I think you've been to and know Sarah a little bit. So, fast forwarding, long story short, about a month ago now, I just kind of I had after multiple testing batches and tastings and going through all the motions, I just released and rebranded and sort of re-released my first batch. Um, and that was I mean, slightly over a month ago.
Wow.
So, um, yeah, we're probably in about 10 local stores throughout sort of the area now. We're getting into some larger retail footprints with Hy-Vee.
Okay.
Um, and it's kind of turning into a little bit of a monster. So, which is a good thing, but it's kind of been fun and sort of crazy to see how things can kind of sort of start growing. And we've had really neat conversations with Kroger and Fresh Time and Hy-Vee. Obviously, we're in a couple Hy-Vee stores now, so um, yeah, it's just it's definitely sort of now I'm on sort of the back. I'm on the other side of it, and it's just been sort of like 3 years of just kind of blowing in the wind a little bit with it. So it's kind of neat.
Yeah. So everyone was making banana bread during COVID and you were making mustard.
Yes. Yep. Everybody was making their artisan
Yep.
crazy breads, which I love.
No, and their chocolate chip banana bread. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I was a weirdo mustard guy. So
Did your mom, was she one of those people that likes to cook a lot? Did she have a lot of things that she made homemade, or was it really just the mustard?
it was a lot of things,
Okay.
a lot, and still is. But this was special. So it was just something that always stuck out with us. But I always, it's just funny when I finally asked her, she goes, "Well, I've kind of been waiting for, I have three other siblings," and she goes, "I've kind of been waiting for one of you to like ask this because it just you get into like homegrown stuff and you just don't even really think about it. You're just like, oh, yep, every Easter, mom brings out the mustard." And then all of a sudden the light just hit. And I'm like, why aren't we having this like, you know, during fall for like a Packer game and like having some beers and some like sausage and cheese and like that's so it just took a while.
Yeah, so is your mom on your payroll now? Is she getting some commission for her restaurant?
She is hugely on my payroll. She's my biggest fan. Uh, but yes, she's definitely sort of she's been enjoying this immensely.
Good. That's awesome. So are you still working full time doing something else? Okay, what's your
Yeah, so I do print sales full time for a company in West Bend, um, and then this has just been sort of my side hustle, and now has turned into a little bit more than that. But I'm able to. I've always been one to be able to sort of shuffle things, a lot of things all at once, so and be able to sort of separate it. So it's a lot of nights and weekends and
yeah,
um, lunch hour running, doing a delivery or
multitasking? Yeah.
multitasking in many different ways. But yeah, it's been it's there's been a lot of like I said, it's different now that I'm on the other side of it. So now I'm marketing and selling a lot more as opposed to the sort of the back end
Mhm.
stuff that nobody sees as much, that you have to just get all the certifications and licenses and work on the label and make sure the label's right for something like Franny's Market or like a large Hy-Vee. And you know I had to get an office space and a warehouse license and be able to um, keep it in a good, like, safe, healthy area and like stuff like that. So it's been kind of wild.
There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes for sure.
Hugely.
Yeah. Yeah. And people don't think about that, but yeah, even, just even for me, and I don't sell anything, but I do a lot of like admin work and stuff behind the scenes. And I'm like, what is this?
100%. Yeah, I mean it's not as easy to do any of this stuff. And what I've learned through like food processing people, and you get talking to all these different sort of groceries and grocers and directors and marketing people, and really sort of the underneath carriage of that is that it's not as easy to bring a family recipe to shelf stability in a large retail footprint.
Yeah.
So you learn why, and you learn what's wrong with that and the problems, because it's just, and I think the largest frustration with that is that it's not going to taste just how your mom made it. So, it's going to kind of go through this like process and you're going to get darn close to it, but um, nothing's going to like maintain that old feeling that you had when you were younger of growing up. And
Yeah.
so I think that's where a lot of people that go through this process get frustrated because they think it's going to. But different preservatives have to be added, different ingredients are different from when you were, your dad was making that spaghetti sauce when you were a kid, or something like that. So it just doesn't all pan out just the way that you want it to be. But
Yeah, that makes sense. All the rules and regulations and stuff you gotta follow.
yeah.
And yeah. So what's the secret? What makes it so good and so unique?
Um, it's just it's definitely sort of a most mustards or a lot of mustards are bottled in sort of a squeeze container of some sort to not to get all mustard dorkiness on you, but after a while of going through all the different ones, so it's really maintained as a dip. It can be more of a dip. It's not your uh it's not like a German mustard. It's not like a stone ground mustard. It's just very unique and different. It's got a vinegar. It's a sweet taste. It's great on like sandwiches, ham sandwiches, brats. Just we kind of have like positioned it as sort of a unique, diversified sort of condiment where um, you just kind of want a jar handy because you just never know what you're going to be putting it on next. I mean, every week goes by and I hear somebody will go. I mean, I've heard somebody put it on with like chocolate covered pretzels, which I don't necessarily recommend, but
I don't know how I feel about that.
that's how kind of crazy it gets.
Yeah,
But it's just sort of this utilitarian sort of mustard that people just tend to like, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So is your goal to do this full time at some point, or are you gonna keep it kind of a side hustle, second job type ordeal?
I mean, it all I'm very open to all of that. I mean, obviously I love my job that I do and I need to have my job that I do, but um it's definitely becoming a sort of a it's becoming more than a side hustle right now. Um and just sort of in sort of the scope of it is because we're having conversations and we're getting into larger retail. So that those conversations can sort of lend a larger lens as we sort of get into like the next 6 months, and that I have no idea what that could mean, but it just sort of it depends on kind of how things go.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Would you say the biggest thing you have learned so far throughout this process of kind of starting your own business and doing all this stuff?
I mean, there's been so much. I think the exciting part of it has been that I have learned so much,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just been really fun for me. I mean, I'm always sort of I'm kind of a doer, so I'm always just wanting to like, um, and I'm sort of a sponge, so I just tend to like I loved the backside of it and learning the operations and the logistics and what was needed and the branding and some of the sort of certifications, and now getting into the grocery stores and stuff like that, sort of learning that process. That's been really exciting and fun. Um, but I think you also learn that not everybody's going to like it,
Yeah.
which is can be hard to have such a you have to sort of uh, you sort of have to lose some attachment to it a little bit, and because as much as I've had great feedback and people love it, and there's also people that's just like, you know what, this just isn't for us. So you have to sort of learn to kind of go through that process and not take it so personal. So um but at the same time, when I start talking about it, there's you you really learn that there's crazy mustard people out there that love mustard. Then you learn that there's people that hate it and like don't want it, and but then they have tried it and they love it because it's just not what they were thinking.
Yeah, I don't do like yellow mustard, hard pass, not into it.
Right.
I like the specialty mustards and like the different flavors and stuff. I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people probably see the word mustard and attribute it immediately to that yellow stuff that you squirt out of a bottle, and they're like, no.
Yeah,
Um,
they'll do that, or they'll expect a they'll be expecting sort of like a stone ground mustard, um, and it's not that at all. So some people are pleasantly surprised. Um, but we've been selling out of all the stores we've been going into, so that's been great thus far. And our batch in the last month has completely sold out. So I'm awaiting sort of the second run on all of that. So that's been good.
sure. What do you think has been your biggest accomplishment so far throughout this process?
I think just getting it to an actual product. I think like we were talking earlier. I mean, there's just so much work that goes into that.
Yeah.
So and doing it through sort of COVID and family and another job, and I mean to finally get a product that you kind of been passionate about and get it to where it's really truly being on a shelf and having the look and feel of what you worked so hard for. I think I mean, it could stop tomorrow and I'd be content with knowing that that happened. So that was it's always kind of a cool feeling.
Yeah, that makes sense. What
Yeah.
is your absolute favorite part about doing all this, or what's your favorite part of the process?
Um, I love, I love now I have the opportunity to go out and meet so many people. So I think, and just like yourself. So it's just like, that's really fun because the last 3 years I've just been in a sort of a kitchen by myself and then just like having it with like my friends and family, which was fun, which was great. But all the work leading up to it has really been sort of solo, lonely work. And now I get to be able to sort of promote and I get to meet people in different stores and have conversation. And I'm in sales, so it's just sort of my natural, it's my natural way of myself to be able to do that. And um, that's been the real fun part.
Yeah. Are there any stores specifically that you're like, I really want to get in there, I really want to sell there that you're not in yet?
We're having I've had good conversations with there's a store in Chicago called Foxtrot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever seen or know them. There's about 15 stores. It's a real sort of bougie, unique, little hipster kind of store. But they're like corner markets. They'd be I'm trying to compare to like something Milwaukee. Milwaukee doesn't necessarily have a chain, but it would be like a I guess it'd be like if like Glorioso's was like a more sort of like not necessarily an Italian market as much as it would be just sort of a general market. But it, I really want to get in there. It's just kind of um, a neat little manageable chain,
Yeah.
and it's kind of cool. And they've got great branding and marketing, and um, they're now in Austin and New York. Um, so But outside of that, locally, it's just been sort of like tea shops and little specialty stores and um, stuff like that. We just got into Hy-Vee up in Green Bay, which is a brand new one. We don't have any Hy-Vees around here, but they're awesome stores. Uh,
One, but I heard they're pretty cool.
they're they're actually pretty amazing. Not to get all geeky on grocery stores, but they're pretty neat.
So I'm one of those weird people that like looks forward to going to the grocery store every week.
Oh, I love going to the grocery store.
Yeah, that's my safe.
So yeah, total safe place. So um, yeah, but I think our goal is to, we definitely want to have this local footprint, um, this local sort of greater Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's what we were really locking into the brand. The whole idea of the branding was sort of, I have, um, we have properties up north, and it's just, you just grow up. And my mom would always she'd send like shredded beef home in like a, uh, a sour cream container, just as every Wisconsin family would do. So I just kind of wanted to have the branding in the jar sort of like have that feeling of that a little bit. And um but also to not limit us, and wanted to, kind of grow throughout the Midwest especially. And so that's kind of what we're shooting for.
You're only in Wisconsin right now, right?
Well, we are a little bit in Illinois. And then I've I've shipped wholesale. I've hit I've shipped wholesale accounts to about 7 different states.
Wow. Cool.
So, which has been kind of something I wasn't sort of like envisioning right away, but um, so
Yeah,
that's been a little crazy.
cool. If you had to give advice to somebody who wants to start their own business or who is just starting their own business, what would your line of advice be?
Oh man, it's so corny. I reread your questions this morning, and I'm like, this. If she asks this, this is going to be just the like most cliche answer ever.
Dumb.
Yeah. Um, the thing I learned, because I am such an idea person, I'm the guy we'd be like sitting out back having a beer, and I'm like, let's start let's start a cafe or a store or a t-shirt company. Like, it's just like every night is something different. So I think you have to be passionate about what you're choosing and what you're doing. And it just makes it a lot more fun. And I think it, to be honest, I think maybe took the pandemic to sort of, for me personally, because it allowed me to sort of like kind of look at different things because I was so focused on, jobs and family. And I think it, in a weird way, slowed me down a little bit, and was like, okay, I need to build a bar they shut the bars down. So I need to build a bar in the garage. So let's do that first.
That's the most important thing.
Let's get that taken care of so I can take care of everybody in the neighborhood. And then, yeah, let's focus on food. So, um, I don't know. It's kind of maybe a weird animal. That's kind of what it did for me. So, yeah.
Cool. I don't think that was cheesy advice. I think that was good advice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just you gotta really pick something. Yeah, totally.
Just do it. Just go for it.
Yeah, you just gotta like once I was able to sort of like kind of focus in on something, I just didn't look back. I just was like I got super passionate about it, and I still am, and I'm like, so that was kind of good. So that would be my advice, because even when you pick something, it's going to change a million times, and it might change into something else, but kind of keeps you on track.
Definitely. All right. So
Yeah.
locally, where can people purchase Scout Mustard? You mentioned Franny's. I know you're at Cedar Valley Cheese Store in Belgium.
Yeah,
Place. Where else?
yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called me and they go, um, it depends on who's at the store and when I'm there, and so I had to drop off a sample, and they called me and they go, well, the woman who tried it, or the woman who was in charge of it, said it reminded her of her dad, because it
Oh,
was a mustard that he had, I think, when he was that era that he made,
sure.
and it sounded like maybe he wasn't around anymore. So it was kind of a sweet little gesture. But um, yeah, we're at Larry's Market. So they just a lot of sort of northern suburbs right now. We're up in Sheboygan at Miesfeld's. Um, Larry's Market just reordered Franny's. So I have to. The other big thing is that we're going to be available online for ordering online probably within a couple weeks.
Cool.
So that's been something I haven't been able to sort of get up and going quite yet. But
To be able to keep up with the demand if you do that, I think you're gonna
I
make more. People can just get it shipped right to them.
yeah, I know it's going to be a little crazy. I'm hoping I'm like kind of drawing a blank of where else we're at. We're at Locally Inspired in Port Washington. It's a neat little store. Have you ever been there?
I have not, no, but I've
It's neat.
heard of it. I heard it's a cool place. I'm going to
Yeah.
go in a week. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, they've got some great stuff. We're awaiting there's Marge Cheese Castle is on the list. They have samples right now. There's like probably like 5 or 6 stores that are waiting my next batch. Uh so we're kind of in a good position right now, but yeah, Hy-Vee's we're looking to be probably in about 50 plus Hy-Vee's in the next month.
Cool.
So that'll be kind of a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta hire some people.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, yeah, it's getting a little nutty. And then the goal is to have more flavors. So we're kind of just focusing on getting the brand out there right now. Um, but hopefully adding at least 2 different flavors here probably into next year. And then depending on how good we're wanting to add pickles and horseradish. We sort of have that kind of in the works right now. So we're kind of marrying this sort of mustard acidity sort of grocery family together.
Well, I don't think you're gonna be working your real job for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But
We won't tell them that, but I don't think that's in the cards.
you know what? I haven't. They don't even. I haven't. I need to tell them. Um, I'm sort of like a big. Well, you're in HR, right?
Sure am.
I haven't. I haven't told. I have great relationships with all my bosses, and I mean it's a wonderful. I've really enjoyed it, but I haven't told them about this because I've just sort of like kept it separate. And when you kind of get into stuff with this, it just changes. It can change a boss's whole sort of perspective on you, if you know what I mean. I mean, it could go from, well, Luke didn't get this done. Well, maybe he's messing around with his mustard company, or
Yeah.
Luke doesn't need a raise because he's got his mustard company, or so. Um, but I also have this is kind of this I have to tell them too because of things like this, because and then when I'm like, I'll run to to lunch, and I'm like, I'll put on my, like, I have a little scout shirt, and I'll just drop off a case, and like somebody from work could be off that day and see me coming in with
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna
different
follow up
shirt.
right now.
So that's not going to work. And then we've got a little uh, Milwaukee Magazine is doing a little thing. So,
So they're gonna see that.
um, what's that?
See that.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be probably seen. So I kind of have to, you know,
Yeah.
a little slowly, but it'll be fine. They'll probably be more mad at me than anything of just like not giving them mustard yet.
Where are our samples,
Yeah, so that'll probably be the worst of it. But
right?
so
All right.
yeah,
So what social media platforms are you on? Where can people find you?
Instagram's the best. Scout Mustard. That's kind of the main one I'm using right now. And then they'll be able to purchase. I mean, I would imagine within um, a couple weeks on scoutmustard.com.
Cool.
Those are those are the two. I have to get stronger at it though. I'm not good at it, Sam. It's not my
It's a pain in the butt.
it is a pain.
I have like a spreadsheet of things that I've posted, things that I need to post, ideas of things that I can post. Like it's a whole ordeal. It's not easy. It's a lot to keep up with. So I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. And I try to be like I'm just trying to like introduce it right now. I'm just trying to like get it out there. But um yeah, I think I definitely need like somebody to help me.
Social media manager.
Yeah, that's definitely, then you have to pay all these people. So it's like
You win some and you lose some, right?
yeah, 100%. 100%. So
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's about it.
yes.
That's been the journey thus far. Um, so we're I always people make fun of me because I always say we all the time, and it's just me. I,
We love this, who's we?
yeah, it's like a smoking, it's like I'm this like big company,
Yeah.
all these 100 employees, and
It's your double life. That's
yeah, it's just me.
me and my other 10 personalities.
Yeah, it's just me, my home office, and my dogs. So, um, but yeah, it's I actually I I'm gonna if you want to send me a, I was gonna send you a jar. I wanted to get you a jar before this interview, but that just wasn't in the cards.
I will take all the jars you want to give me.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you some. So if you wouldn't mind, if you want to follow up with where I can send it, then I can get that off to you.
Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. I think my Zoom's going to close. It keeps flashing at me that I am running out of time. So I'm
yeah, no,